Before you start to learn this routing, there are two major topics you have to understand. One is 3D sketch and second thing is spline. If you don't know how to work with these two, you must have to learn that, because inside this routing you need to work with these both tools. This is a simple pipe routing. If I want to edit it, right click on this sketch and select edit routing. You don't need to follow with me, I will show you later how to do all of this thing. Then here you can see this sketch is in 3D environment. If I want to add anything, I have to do inside this 3D. That's the reason you need to know how to work inside this 3D environment. Then also you have to know how to work with this spline, because here you can see we added some electrical routing, and here this is one tube, and right click and go to edit routing, and here you can see this is a spline. So this is very important that if you don't know how to work with this spline, then you must have to understand that. In next few lessons, we will learn how to work with 3D sketch and how to work with spline. If you already know how to work with this spline as well as with that 3D sketch, in that case you can skip this entire chapter. So let's create a 3D sketch from next lesson. In this lesson, I will show you how to create any sketch in 3D environment. That tool is different than 2D sketch tool. If you want to create any 2D sketch, you have to use this tool, which is available inside this sketch tab. From here, there is a one drop down menu under this sketch. From here, you can access this 3D sketch tool. So first I will activate it, and now I don't need to select any plane here to create a sketch, because this is in 3D environment. So first I will activate any tool from here. Activate this line tool. Now next to the cursor it is showing XY. This is showing XY because if you see this two arrow, if you match with this is X and this is Y. That's why this is showing XY. If you create anything, it will add to XY plane. But this is just a virtual thing. There is nothing completely defined as a XY plane. So in 3D environment, when you will create any sketch for the first time, you must have to start from center. Even if you want, you can start from different any random point in 3D space, but it will be very hard for you to control later. That's why this is very important to start any sketch from the center of this sketch. So this is the center. I will select this point, and now if I draw anything here, it will add this to XY plane. So let's say if I go to this side, then press this point, and this is that line. Now still I am in XY plane. If you want to change this plane, you can do it by using tab key in your keyboard. Press tab key one time, it will change from XY to YZ. YZ means you can see from here, this is that plane, which is this plane. So now in YZ plane, I will draw it here. This is the second line. Now I will change it again. Press tab key again. Now this is showing me that this is in ZX. So I will draw this again in ZX. I will change it again by using tab key and go to top. I am done. I will press escape key to finish this line. Now if I see from top, you will see this line is completely straight because this is in XY plane. That's why this is in, looks like this is very straight. And this line on YZ plane, that's why this is showing on this side. If I see from 3D side, you will see this is that line. Let's say if I want to move this, I can move it anywhere, all of this line. But when you will create any 3D sketch, this is really very important to fix any one point with this center point. Otherwise it will float all over the place inside this 3D environment. If you see inside this feature manager design tree, you will see this sketch name is different than normal sketch. So first I will close this. Now I will create a 2D sketch and just make something inside it and close this sketch. Now you can see for a normal 2D sketch there is nothing is showing, but for 3D sketch this is showing 3D sketch 1, And another clue is this is showing 3D in front of this name, which is icon 3D. That means this is 3D sketch. But if you don't see anything, that means this is just a normal 2D sketch. If you want to modify it, right click, go to edit, then modify it. When you will create any 3D sketch, this is very important to know how to apply geometric constants as well as dimensional constants. So in this lesson, I will discuss about this topic. So create a new 3D sketch. Now create a line from this center. Then go to top. Then I will change this plane to YZ. This time when I will go to right, you can see the dotted line. This dotted line means this is completely horizontal with this XY plane. That's why this inferencing line is showing. I will change this environment so that you can see better. Now you can see it. This is that inferencing line is showing. This inferencing line means this is completely horizontal direction and this is completely vertical. So I want to make it horizontal in XY plane. So I will go to this side, and before I click this point, there is one icon is showing just next to the cursor with yellow. That means as soon as I create this line, it will create a new geometric constant which is called along Z axis. So first I will create it and I will skip it, click this, and you will see this is that geometric constant is showing. This is that one along Z. If you want to keep this line always with along Z, this is that geometric constant you have to put. Because this is in 3D, you cannot put horizontal or vertical relation only. You have to put relation this way, along X, along Y, along Z. So I will create few more line here. Select this point. From here I will change this plane again. On ZX plane, create another line which is along with X. Then this side again. Then I will go to bottom, so I have to change this plane again by tab key. Then I will go to right. I am done, so I will press escape key to close this line tool. Now if I see from 4 different view, you will see how this looks like. This is isometric, I mean trimetric. Then top view, front view, right view, all are completely different because this is in 3D environment. So I will go to isometric view again with one view. Now I will put few geometric relation. Select these two line, and then I can put this collinear because these two line has same geometric relation which is along X. So select these two and make it collinear. Then I will put few dimension here. For this put 80, then for this 100, then for this dimension put 100. Looks like this is almost fixed except this point. I will select from this point to this point and put 300. Now 3D sketch is completely fully defined. So this is how you have to fully define a 3D sketch. Now I will put few radius. If you want, you can also put radius on every corner, which is possible in 3D. Then press OK. I'm done. I will close it. Now I will make a profile which will be a circular profile. I'm done, so close it, then activate sweep tool, then press OK. So this kind of complex shape you can make by using 3D sketch. But you have to keep in mind, if you want, you can make this sketch by using 2D sketch. Let's say you want to make this sketch in 2D. So you have to create, let me suppress this sweep. Let's say you want to create this sketch in 2D. So first you have to create this line and this line, then this line and this line in one plane. Then on another plane you have to create these three lines. Then you will get exact same result. But if you do these two sketches inside 3D, which I did here, this will be very easier for you to change later because you are doing everything from one place. In this lesson, we will do a exercise in 3D sketch. We will create a 3D sketch, which is basic 3D sketch, but this is better for you to understand more about 3D environment. And this is not very complicated sketch. This is simple, but still, if you don't know how to create that 3D sketch, this looks complicated for you. So let's try this in 3D environment. Inside this window, I will create a new 3D sketch. First, I will create this top rectangle, but from which point you are creating your rectangle, that is important. If you want, you can create rectangle from this point, or you can put center of this rectangle at this origin. But this is important for you to understand how you are going to start. If this is a symmetry part, this is very important to put your rectangle center at the origin. First, take a rectangle tool, and definitely I'm going to select center rectangle. Now this is showing wrong plane, which is XY plane. So press tab key. Now this is showing ZX, which is this plane. From here we can see this is that ZX plane. So I will start from center. So select this origin. Now move away. So this is that rectangle. Unselect this rectangle tool. Now we have to put few dimension. First one is 30. But this is in inch. Here this is showing in millimeter. So I will put 30 inch. And this is showing in millimeter. So I will change that unit from here to IPS. Then go inside this 3D sketch again. Then dimension for this 15, which is showing here. Now this is fully defined. Now I will add few more vertical line. When I will add vertical line, this is showing this is in XY plane, so this is fine. I want to create some line vertically, so select this point and move to bottom somewhere here. This is connected line, so press escape key. Now select line again. This time I will select this point, press and hold left mouse button, which is shortcut for a line if you want to create just one segment, and release your mouse. Then still your line tool is active. Same thing I will repeat for this two more line. My 4 line has been created. Now deactivate line tool, select all 4 line, put it equal relation, and now this is 10, so I have to put value 10. There is another rectangle is showing. If you want, you can use rectangle tool, or if you want, you can use line tool. This time I will use line tool. Select any point from this line. Then you have to make sure that your desired plane is showing, but at this moment this is showing XY, but I want to create line on YZ or ZX. So press tab key in my keyboard. Then this is showing YZ plane, so this is fine. From this inference line, I will select this point on this line, then go to right, but I have to press tab key again because I want a line in X direction. Select this point on this line, then select this point on this line, and finally select this point. And press escape key to deactivate this line tool, and I will rotate it. Here this is showing that this is undefined, so put some dimension, select this to point, put 3 because this is showing 3 here, and here this is showing this is fully defined. If you want, you can create all sketches together, then you can put geometric relation and dimension. Because you are completely new in 3D environment, this is better to create 3-4 segment first, then fully define it that, then create few more. If you want to use a well-meant structure tool, which is this structural member, if you want to make this, then 3D sketch is really very important. If you want, you can still use 2D sketch, but if you know 3D sketch, this is better, because if you see here, you can create this sketch in 2D. First, inside one plane you have to create this 4 line, then in another plane you have to create this 2 line, then in another plane you have to create this 2 line, and finally in a last plane you have to create this last 4 line. So you have to create 4 sketches, which you can accomplish inside a 3D sketch by using only one 3D sketch. That's why learning 3D sketch is really very important if you work in structural product. In this lesson, I will show you how to work with plane inside a 3D sketch. This is quite interesting because inside a 3D sketch, you can create a plane, and on that plane, you can create any sketch. Let's take a new sketch, which is 3D. Now, inside this 3D sketch, I will create a very simple line. This is just a one segment. Now, if you notice one thing, when I will activate any tool from here, this is showing me only 3 planes: XY plane, then YZ plane, then ZX plane. These are only 3 planes where you can create any sketch inside 3D environment. Let's say you want to create something which is aligned 45° with this ZX plane. So in that case, you have to create that plane. That plane is not exist. If I press tab key, only these 3 plane I can get. So that's why how to work with plane inside 3D sketch, that is really very important. First, I will deactivate this line tool by pressing escape key in my keyboard. Then go to inside sketch tab. From here, this is that option, plane. You can create any plane by using this option. But you have to keep in mind, this option only will be available when you will stay inside 3D sketch, not 2D sketch. So I am inside this 3D sketch, so I will activate it, this plane tool. Now I have to define few reference, but nice thing is, let's say you don't have anything to select from this 3D environment. In that case, if I press OK, it will create plane. And after creating this, there are some grid line is showing with this yellow border, means this plane is active now. If I double click outside this area, that plane will be unselected. But it is not showing here because from this heads up toolbar, from this option, if I go to drop down menu, this option is unchecked. By default, this is unchecked. You have to check this option. So I will check this option. Now you can see it. To activate this plane again, I will double click on this plane. Now this is activate again. All grid with this yellow border is showing. For now, I will unselect this, press double click on this blank area. Then I will rotate this little bit. Now I will select this plane, press left mouse button and hold, then move it to somewhere here. You will see this plane is moving. This is not fixed. If you want to fix this plane, you have to put some geometric relation as well as dimension. So I will select this. This is already selected. Then go to this tree, select this right plane by pressing Ctrl key. Now you can see there are 3 relations showing between these 2 planes possible. I will select parallel. As soon as I parallel, these 2 planes is parallel now. So I will press OK. Now if I move this, you can see it will move in this direction because this is parallel with right plane, and this is that relation is showing. Now if you want to add any dimension, you can also do that. Activate Smart Dimension tool, select this plane, then select this point. Between this point and plane, I will put 50 and deactivate this Smart Dimension tool. Now if I move this plane, you can see this is still moving. That means this is still not fixed. This is not fixed because this line length is changing. So add another dimension, 100. Now you can see everything is fixed. And when this plane is fixed, this plane border is showing with gray color. if I delete this dimension, you will see this is showing with light blue color. So I will bring back this dimension again by pressing Ctrl Z. Now my plane is fully defined. I will create another plane which will be 45 degree with this ZX plane, and this plane will go through this line. So activate this plane, then select this line because this plane has to go through this line. Then inside this second reference, select this top plane, and with this top plane I am to create 45 degree. If I see from right side, you will see this is what I want. This plane has to be 45 degree with this ZX plane, which is this plane you can see from here, and this plane has to go through this line, which is this result. So now I can press OK, and as soon as I create my plane, this is showing that plane is active. I don't want to active now, so double click on this blank area to deselect this plane. So far I created two plane. Now if you want to create any sketch, let's say on this plane I want to create any sketch, double click on this plane. Now this plane is active. Now whatever I will create, now it will create only on this plane, not randomly inside this 3D environment. So let's say I will create few line here, and all of this line has been created on this plane. If I see from right side, you will see this is that plane, and all line has been created on this plane. When I'm done, I will press double click in this blank area. In this lesson, I will show you how to create a complex 3D sketch by using plane inside a 3D sketch. First, take a new 3D sketch. Inside it, I will create a rectangle on this ZX plane. So press tab key twice. After creating this, then select this midpoint of this line and select this center of this origin and make a coincident relation. Then I have to put few dimension. Before I do that, I will change from millimeter to IPS. This side 24 inch and this side 40. Now we can see this is still not fixed, so deactivate this dimension tool. Now I will try to move it, and now I can see this is just rotating, floating all around the place. So select this line, and here I will move this to along Z. So select this along Z relation, and this line select along X. Now this is completely fully defined. Then I will create a plane. Before I do that, I will create this line as a construction geometry. Then select plane tool, select this line. This is my first reference, which will make a coincident relation with this line. Then select this top plane. It will create 45 degree with this top plane. If I see from front view, this is that plane. Then press OK. This plane is active now. Now I will see from top. Whatever I will draw now, it will create on this plane. Activate this line tool. Select this endpoint. Then few more line. And finish on this point. I am done. Now put few more dimension. Add this angle between these two, which is 45 now. Now deactivate this dimension tool, then double click in this blank area to go outside from this plane. Create another new plane. Select this line and top plane. Create 60-degree angle with this top plane. If I see from right, this is that plane, then press OK. Now this plane is active. If I see from top, This is the situation. Now I will create few more line. Start from this point. So this is done. Now put one more dimension, which is 15. Now make these two lines equal. Now this is showing still this is underdefined, but actually this is not underdefined. If I try to move this, I can move this. For some reason in SolidWorks this is showing this is underdefined, but actually it's not. It says it's just a bug inside the SolidWorks. That's fine. I will click somewhere inside this blank area. Now this is my sketch. If I want to add, let's say, any fillet, I can add it. I will make this line as a construction geometry. Now select this point and this point, put 5. Also, if I want, I can also create fillet on this corner. Make it 2.5 and press OK. So this kind of complex 3D sketch you will be able to create inside this 3D environment. In this lesson, I will show you how to create a spline by using spline tool inside the sketch. Spline tool is really very flexible tool. If you want to make any organic shape, spline tool is very best for that kind of situation. As for example, if you work in plastic environment, you must have to use this kind of tool. First, take a new sketch on this front plane. Then activate that spline tool from this sketch tab from here. There is a drop down menu. Few other different type of spline is available. I will work with this normal spline tool. Activated it. Now I have to define few point to make a spline. So I will define randomly any one point in this graphic window. This is my first point. When I will move to right or left or anywhere, this is showing this is a straight line, but actually this is not the straight line. If I select second point and move to anywhere, you will see this is that spline. Then I will define third point. When I'm done, I have to right click and press select, or I can double click it, or I can press escape key in my keyboard to finish this. If you want to create a closed spline, you have to define few point. Let's say I defined 4 point, then I have to go back to the initial point to make a closed spline. Spline is really very flexible. If you want to control this spline, this is really very flexible. That's why you can control very different way. I have to select it, then I will see there are few drag handle is showing. I can control this spline by using all of this point. Then I can control this spline by using this drag handle also. I can also increase or decrease this magnitude. Also, I can change angle by selecting this diamond shape. This is quite powerful tool. I will create a new spline and I will show you how to fully define a spline, because fully defining a spline is not easy. It's a little bit complicated, especially for a new user. So I will activate it. I will start from this point. I will create a spline by using 3 point. I'm done. I will press escape key. Before I add few dimension, there is one very important tips I will give you. When you will make a spline, try to use less number of point as much as you can. The more less number of point you will use, more controllable spline you will be able to create. You can create very complex type of spline, but it will take so long time to fully define it. So let's try with this 3 point, how many geometric relation and dimension you have to put. So I will select these 2 point and make a horizontal relation, then few dimension. Looks like this spline is fully defined, and this is also showing that this spline is fully defined. Actually, all of this point exists inside this spline that is fully defined. But still, if you want, you can change the shape of this spline. Now how? I will cancel this dimension tool first. If I select this spline, now there are three drag handle is showing. It has just only one side drag handle because this is the end point for this spline. If I try to move it, you will see I can still control this. I can still change the shape of the spline, but all of this point is fixed. So in that case, I have to put few more dimension. I will select this drag handle, and on this drag handle, I will be able to put relation. I will put horizontal relation. Also for this, I'll put horizontal dimension. Also for this, put horizontal dimension. Now I have to put few dimension. Before I put few dimension, I will adjust it manually little bit. Now put dimension to each drag handle. Now shape of my spline is also fixed. It's not just only point. So when you are defining a spline, that means you are fixing all point first. Then you also have to define, that means fully define the shape of the spline also. So if you use more point, you have to define more geometric relation and dimension. Then another thing you have to keep in mind, spline tool normally you have to use where you will make a very organic type of shape, especially in machine design industry or structural industry. They very rarely use this tool. But if you work in plastic industry, yes, definitely they use this tool frequently.